Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Getting on My Nerves. It's me, Sophie Ward, and Angie today talking to you about maybe we should be winning awards for being so great at putting a brave face on, painting on that bright smile, and getting on with it when our chronic illnesses can be very testing at times.
Good morning, Sophie. Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon to me.
I'm winning an award today, so to speak. I was just thinking about that actually when I was getting ready, because I was thinking, I don't feel well. I'm having a reaction to my eye makeup, because I just put my eyes on because my eyelashes are blonde, so I don't look so sickly without my eyelashes. And I was like, why don't I just do this without all of that? Because when we put on the face, literally put on the face, we put our makeup on, I've done my hair, so to speak, but I'm in my robe because it's morning here for me. So I just was like, you know what? It is what it is today. And I didn't sleep well last night. Sophie didn't sleep well last night. So there's all kinds of things that factor into what we go through before you see us, not just on here, but like in person. Because no one knows what it takes for us to get ready, to prepare, and the panic that we have when someone wants to do something on the fly. Like, that's one of my biggest panic things. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have to prepare. And preparing, as you know, would be like, go to the Oscars where you're all day long preparing, sometimes weeks preparing for an event.
Yeah, it's like, obviously I've got my brother's getting married in 2 weeks' time. And even like this weekend, I'm supposed to be on his wife's to be hen do. It's a weekend. It's like, even the wedding's a weekend do. And that's like a wedding in itself, a day is long enough. So when you throw into the mix that it's like, you've got the rehearsal dinner, you've got the wedding day, you've got the Sunday where it's like you have to mingle with the guests that are still around, like it turns into a whole sort of like week-long thing. It's not even just a weekend to us, it feels like a week, because it feels so tiring and so exhausting. And then obviously the hen do, there's like 14 girls going on a 2-night break where we're literally just staying in the lodge. We're not even going like out and about, we're just staying in the lodge, but it's having to socialize with all those different people, because that zaps you as well as the physical side of it. And people don't think about that. People especially my age, they're like, yeah, we'll just go out drinking and we'll start at 6 p.m. and we'll get in at 4 a.m. And they're fine, like they can do it. But for us, like the lead up to it and having to prep, get ourselves ready, get psyched up, feel human, because a lot of the time we feel like we're aliens in our own body, and like feel that we don't look like a zombie, because I always wake up and think I look like death warmed up. And you feel conscious of it. So when you go to big events like this, like you do have to pull yourself together, and it takes a lot.
Even small events. So like for me, like back in February, my children came down to visit. They arrived on Saturday. They came and picked me up on Sunday and then brought me back on Thursday, because I wasn't able to drive that distance. But for me to go just for a few days, whereas somebody might be able to just put things in a backpack and go, I have to take my blender, I have my smoothie, I have like my juices that I do, I have like all the different routine things that I'm doing, my routine thing. And preparing for that, I spaced everything out for like the week before. I took a week to prepare for them before they were even here, and I was ready when they got here. But then because of that, I overstimulated myself, because they had rented a house when I went house with them on Sunday night. I didn't sleep at all on Sunday night. So I pulled an all-nighter, and then my son had this big shoot the next day for one of his sponsors. So they were like, it was a car. He's in the car thing. I was going to wear his shirt today, and I just said, you know what? Forget it. I'll do it another day. But we had to be there from 9 a.m, and he was there till like 9 at night. I back because I wouldn't have missed that for the world, because it was so important. But I literally started hitting my wall, and I even fell asleep. We all went out to a big lunch, and I fell asleep at the table because I was so tired. tired, but I didn't want to miss. It's like, that's what our thing is. Like, we don't want to miss things. So you can have your makeup on, your hair done, you're dressed, you look like other people, but no one knows the horror show going on inside, not just in our minds. So when you overstimulate yourself, then you don't sleep, and then that just snowballs. And so I crashed when I got crashed.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. And to be fair, James is a perfect example of this at the moment, because we both come down with, I think it's like flu that's going round. I had it really bad last week, and I'm getting like the after effects with like the sickness, headaches still this week. James started on Monday. He just didn't move yesterday. Like, he slept all day. Like, he just didn't move. He was like, I'm hot, I'm cold. I just got on with my daily jobs. Like, I got up, I walked the dogs. I felt like utter rubbish, but I still did it. Empty the dishwasher, was like cooking, like moving around. I was like building the website. And then this morning, like, I've been up all night. Like, he slept soundly last night, full night's sleep. I up all night, like being sick, just no sleep again. And then this morning I got up, I was like, right, take the dogs. He was like, I'll take the dogs later on. I thought, yeah. And then he was on the phone, because I said, I think I did too much yesterday with like being so on it, like with the podcast and doing the website and just being really busy. He was on the phone. He was like, yeah, I think I've got a case of man flu. I was like, yeah, but you're not used to coping with it. I said, like, for me and Angie, like, we can just pull ourselves together. And like, if you suffer from a chronic illness, like, you're used to it. But for someone who gets ill out of like nowhere, and it's like once in a blue moon, it can hit you like a car crash. But we can't stop our lives every single day because we've had like one flare up. Like, we have stuff to do. We have to get on with it, and we have to make sure that we still survive.
This could go into a whole other thing. I could tell you of how, because I got diagnosed. Well, I wasn't diagnosed for 16 years, but I was sick from age 25 on. So I had my children, had a family, had all the responsibilities and everything that you do. And then, you just go. And there would be people that would, people always ask how you are. And here's the other thing that gets me too, is when someone does have the flu or they get sick with something, they improve and they're able to go on with their lives. We don't. And so they'll come to you and they'll be like, I had the flu for 2 weeks. I totally understand how you feel. When people, they ask you how you are and you say, fine, I'm okay, because you don't want to go into it, because you've learned you can't go into it, because the horror on their face if you start to actually say what's happening or how badly you're feeling, whatever. So you just learn to say, I'm okay. I think you were sick, or don't you have Lyme disease, or, you, but do you really want to hear what's going on with me today? Do you want to know what's been happening to lead up to this point? Do you want to know? And I don't know, there's other, like my uncle, he called to ask my mom, and I go to dinner, and it was like within a couple of hours. And I told my mom, I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I can't go on the fly like that. I have to plan everything. And that's another thing that's so frustrating, is you become a planner with everything that you do. And you have to say no a lot when yes, because if it's last minute, or even if it's not, even if it's only a day or two notice, you get that panic because you're not going to be able to prepare.
And it's like James gets annoyed at me because he's very much like goes with the flow, and what will be. And I'm like, no, like, I plan to plan, but that's how like I have to be. And sometimes like I do have to come away earlier than what James wants, because I need to take my tablets. I need to sort of like get myself recharged and ready for the next day, because I've got stuff to do the next day, and I don't want it to sort of overlap with like exhaustion and symptoms by like pushing through. And he's just like, oh. Sometimes he's just like, oh, but sometimes he's like, right, no, I'm ready to go as well. But like, he's just so used to, if like the lads say, oh, let's stay out, let's go to another bar. And I'm like, no, it's 9:00. I need to get home. I need to take the tablets. I need to get to bed. So he gets a bit annoyed because I do plan to plan, but that's just how I am, because like we all have to be.
It's a routine though. We have to routine. It's like with the baby or something, like children, they have to be in bed at a certain time, they get up at a certain time because your battery runs out. If we have a shorter battery than most people, we can push ourselves, but we'll end up in bed, and it could be weeks, it could be months, in to get you to a point. For me, I'm to a point, and I have been at this point for a long time. I have no push left. Most people can say, well, I just push through. I can push through. Well, some days I can push, and some days I absolutely cannot, because I pushed for 16 years. And that was like going full blast with everything, running a household, a family, like all of that. And while I was doing healthy for myself, I didn't know what I was sick with. And so, they were trying to find things out. But like, I believe when you push your body to the max and then you are finally diagnosed, and mine was like late stage when they found it, that's like end stage cancer. So, and they'd given me 6 to 12 months to live. And then you get to thinking about, I pushed myself for so long and I still have all this life left, all these years, and I have no push. I have no push left. And I don't know how to explain that to people when I say I can't do something or I'm able to. And they're like, well, no.
And like, people have got to realize that your body gives out, like your body can only take so much. And I only fully understood this like when I was swimming, and you see so many of like the people who I used to swim with who have got lasting injuries because they just pushed, and they got to a day where the body just went no, and that was it. Like they'd have like an injury that they now carry with them for life, and they've never been able to bounce back, and they had to retire. But that's because like, especially like the coaches, like they don't have a limit. And I found that really difficult, like when I did get like diagnosed and started feeling ill, because I really wanted to carry on pushing because I was so used to being pushed, and they wouldn't accept anything else. So I didn't expect anything else of myself. And like you say, you do get to that point where you just crash and everything comes like tumbling down, and it's scary.
It is. When it happened for me was after I'd already been diagnosed. It was a year before I'd been diagnosed. And in December 2014, when I came down to my parents, I was still trying to work. And so I remember I went in for a shift and I come home, got into bed, and I didn't get back up. That was it. My body was like done. And so I had pushed it to where it couldn't go more. And when you get to a point where you're improving and you're doing better and you're able to do more, I call it the wall. And I let people know, like you say, when you tell James, it's time to go. Okay. So like yours is like, it's 9:00. I need to go. But see, for me, I start feeling it around 8:00. So I give people a warning. I'm starting to feel that I'm getting hit my wall. And the only way I can explain it is like that wall is coming towards you and you're like shrinking inside because you're like drained. And then you don't know, like if you go past the wall, you pull an all-nighter, you may not be able to get up and do what you need to do the next day. And so you need to be down for days or weeks even, because you didn't acknowledge you had a wall. Everybody has a wall. It doesn't matter if you're sick or not. And this is why we are so passionate about trying to get people to understand when you have your health, even if you do have something chronic, if you have your health where you're able to go and you're able to do, please take care of it. Cherish it. It is your wealth. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. You have nothing.
And I think it's also important, like if you are a sufferer, to never feel any guilt or shame for, even if you're around a group of people, like taking yourself away or having to just like cancel or whatever. Like we had friends around about a month ago now, and I'd run around, clean the house. Like I'd done all of like getting the food out, getting everyone drinks. And it got to like 8:00 and I was shattered. And I just said to them, I said, look, like you entertain yourselves now. So I was like, I'm out. I'm done. Like obviously James is still here, so I wasn't completely abandoning shit. But I really wanted to like push on till like 10:00 with the fact that I had a full house full of people, but I just couldn't do it. And I thought, no, Sophie, just call it. And I'm so glad I did. And like no one, I mean, a lot of them had a drink anyway, so they didn't care. They probably didn't even see me go. But like some of the girls said afterwards, they were like, to be honest, we were tired and we didn't do what you did. So I think it's very important that in that time we can guilt trip ourselves and really feel bad and like the antisocial one because we took ourselves away. But friends would say like they would do the same if they hit their wall or they started to feel tired, because it's very difficult to sit there and socialize when you're not present.
Yes. And you feel yourself or you're just zoning out. There's the boundaries, having boundaries. When you learn and you work on yourself from within, you set those boundaries, and no means no. And there is no shame. There is guilt feeling. It's just, no, it is what it is. I've had a lovely evening. I need to excuse myself now because you've been around all that stimulation and you've got to go and calm yourself down. And it doesn't matter if it's with family or friends or out and about or whatever. I know that I have a very short time if I'm going to be with a lot of stimulation, because that stuff just doesn't go away. It gets a bit better, the neuro stuff, but it doesn't go away.
No. And I always find like once I've been around people and I've tried to be like on it, and like you said, a lot of noise, a lot of sound, a lot of talking, a lot of interaction, I can't sleep. It takes me a long time to settle myself and like actually just feel calm enough to like fall asleep.
How long does it take you to fall asleep once you're, especially if you've been overstimulated?
3.5 hours. Even though like I'm actually tired, any normal night I'd just fall straight to sleep, but I can't do it if I've been out busy or...
Well, even like yesterday. So we did the podcast yesterday. I had an interview with a gentleman for Nerve of Mind. And then, so that was in the morning for me. For you, it was in the afternoon. But still, by the nighttime, I was tired. I was ready to go to sleep. So when I went in to lay down at bedtime, which for me can be around 10:30 is when I go to lay down. I fall asleep until 11:30 or midnight. So I was asleep by 11:30 last night. But then I woke up at a little after 12 and I continued to wake up all night long because I've done more than I'm used to doing. I can get overstimulated just in the house with my mom's dog barking. You know, if she's on one of those things where she's bark, 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 I can't take it. It's too much. And there's the TV's on and there's just, it's like, And it's like obviously we're on different time zones, so it is quite difficult. But I know like we always try to finish up at like 4 because I get up at like 5 a.m. with the dogs. So like by the time like you wake up, I'm like, oh my God, my day's finished. I'm flat. Well, with us doing this, I was thinking, I'm like, this morning I was dragging. I'll be honest, I was dragging, even though I got up at like 7:30, ish time. I had plenty of time before 9, before we scheduled this, but I was just, oh my gosh, like I'm dragging. And I'm like, I bet Sophie's dragging too. And I'm thinking we're going to be a bunch of blubbering people on this podcast because like, brain's not working today.
I said that to James. I was like, I need some sort of like caffeine to like actually function today.
Speaking of which, I have my coffee and I've been sneaking drinks of it while we've been talking, because I don't normally need coffee to get myself going. I don't need that. And I used to a long time ago, like, oh my gosh, I have to have coffee. And I drink coffee all day long. And I also put a lot of sugar and stuff in my coffee, but I don't do that anymore. But I do, like, I enjoy my coffee. My coffee is one of my luxury that I allow my, because I have so many other things that I'm not able to eat or do. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have my coffee. I've researched it. Good coffee. I'm going to have it and enjoy it. So,
yeah, too right.
So I hope people have gotten a little bit more understanding of what goes into our lives. And we can go into this deeper in other podcasts, but we just wanted to touch on it today about how we really should receive awards for performances that we put on. We're not doing it for attention. We're not doing it for any other reason than to be present and to enjoy life. And so we were just bringing that to the forefront today to let you know a little bit into our lives of what it's like. And hopefully they'll have some empathy and compassion for others who are going through the same things we are.
And we'll catch you in the next one.
See you later.